In the previous episode, my family spent a day visiting Bukhara, Uzbekistan. And today, on 7 June 2024, we will be leaving the city for our next destination, Samarkand. We checked out our hotel at noon and took a taxi out from Bukhara city to Kogon, where Bukhara's train station is located. It was, again, super hot during the day, especially at noon, when the sun is right above our heads. Now for this video, there will be more of me talking in the camera than photo and video footage, which I'll explain later, but first, please hear me out. I'm gonna share something we encountered, a minor inconvenience I guess, right before leaving Bukhara. So here's the story. We booked a taxi on the Yandex Taxi app, and we received a notification that the driver had arrived outside our hotel, but when we went outside the door, the taxi was nowhere to be seen. Turns out, the taxi driver had to maneuver the narrow roads that led to the hotel because it's located in the old city and the roads were very narrow, barely enough for a small four-seater to pass through and make turns. Eventually, the Yandex app started charging us waiting time fees, when in reality the taxi wasn't at our location yet. It charged 500 Uzbekistan som for every 30 seconds, which was actually just 0.05 Singapore dollars or 4 US cents, but as we waited longer, it accumulated to 5,000 som. It's just 52 Singapore cents or 39 US cents, but my brain was obviously not braining as I got frustrated at the large number. So when the driver finally arrived, he couldn't cancel the charge immediately because his phone ran out of battery. But we were catching a train and there was a language barrier. I don't speak Uzbek or Russian, so we just got into the taxi and left. In the middle, the driver also took a wrong turn and we wasted another about 5 minutes before he found the right way. At long last, we arrived outside the Bukhara train station, and I was trying to tell the driver to remove the 5,000 som charge from the trip. I was frustrated and feeling really quite uneasy from the heat and just alighted from the taxi after the encounter, and the driver agreed to refund us the 5,000 som. He just said minus 5,000, okay. And that was about it. Only after that encounter, I realized 500 som is just 50 cents. And I'm like, oh gosh, was it really worth this much trouble trying to just get 50 cents back? Does 50 cents mean a lot? Probably not to us, but to the ordinary Uzbek people, likely it does mean quite significant things. Like maybe at dinner they could order one more shashlik or one more drink, I don't know. But then thinking about it again, maybe the driver took a wrong turn. The driver took a wrong turn and arrived here late, so maybe, just maybe, I could be overthinking it and I was reasonable in asking for the 5,000 som back and giving the driver a 4-star review instead of a 5-star. The car journey was hot and honestly not very comfortable along with the late arrival and wrong turn. It was simply not a perfect experience. But the driver got us to the destination on time, so my uncle thought even giving him a 4-star was too high, but I just thought, yeah, we select the cheapest option, what we pay is what we get. So I got the refund in the end anyways, and the driver probably ate one less shashlik for dinner. What would you have done in this situation? Please tell me I'm just overthinking. Because I loved visiting Bukhara and this was honestly not a great end to my visit. It was just a little bit too far from perfect. But things just started to go downhill from there. So anyways, enough of me yapping about the taxi story over 50 cents and get back to our journey. We entered Bukhara's train station in Kogon and boarded the train that was headed for Tashkent, even though we would be arriving halfway at Samarkand, which was our next destination. Everything seemed normal at first. We presented our tickets and boarded the train. We sat down as the train departed smoothly, sorry for no video. But as the train drove on, I was beginning to feel exhausted in a weird way. I thought nothing much at first and just opened the table in front of my seat and lay there to rest. I never thought I would be able to fall asleep that quickly. It felt like just a few minutes when we arrived at Samarkand a little over an hour later. So I woke up, took my family's luggage and alighted the train, then boarded a taxi to the hotel we booked. Samarkand's train station was located very near the city center, so it was convenient. It even had a tram outside the station, which was fancy, but I didn't get the chance to try it. We boarded our taxis and arrived at our hotel in the late afternoon, but the entire way I was feeling weird, like dizzy and uneasy. When we finally checked into our rooms, I had zero energy left. I just turned the aircon on and took off my clothes, then popped out of the bed and slept. It was then I realized I felt sick from heat exhaustion. It felt like shit, Really? I had no energy to take videos and photos, no energy to check social media or chat with friends, no energy to eat and stuff, not even enough to get up and take a shower before resting. It felt that bad. I probably had way too much fun exploring and going to so many places. From Xinjiang to Georgia to Armenia to Azerbaijan, then to Uzbekistan. For reals, I had never traveled that much in such a short period in my life places. It was so fun, I had a blast, but I fell ill from exhaustion when my journey in these countries were almost ending. I just had one more city to explore before flying back to China again, and I couldn't. It was such a pity. So the rest of my family went out to eat dinner and visit places like the Registan Square, which was really beautiful at night. I only woke up after the return, and I just took a bath in the bathtub before coming up and lying back on the bed. Then I just fell asleep again until the next morning after my family had finished breakfast and brought me some to fill my stomach, as I hadn't eaten anything since Bukhara. I didn't feel like eating anything, but I still ate a little bit because I was feeling slightly better but still drained of energy. So because of me, we accidentally overstayed an hour, but the hotel staff was very understanding and didn't charge us late checkout fees. Thank you to Hotel Jasmina in Samarkand for that. Their staff are very friendly and accommodating, making our experience there comfortable and trouble-free. Props to them for being so understanding. So my family went out and I just stayed in the lobby to rest, lying on a sofa and sleeping as I still didn't have enough energy to go out. I was feeling so weak until my mom returned and asked me if I had rested enough. I felt like, yeah, I needed to at least go out and see something like the Registan Square or the Shahizinda or the tomb of Islam Karimov, the first president of independent Uzbekistan. So I just decided, yeah, I rested enough and got up to follow her. It was near noon when I walked out and went seeing the famous locations and landmarks in Samarkand. First, my mom and I walked through a garden that had pretty good shade, and we reached the Registan Square. It was clear and bright during daytime, and I had to take pictures. It was a must. I wanted to make fun for the previous day when I was out of energy to take pictures and videos. We then arrived at the Bibi Khanim Mosque, which was an engineering feat of Amir Temur's era. He named this mosque after his wife Sarai Mulk Khanum, even though this mosque was actually commissioned by the wife. As Samarkand was the capital of the Timurid Empire, Amir Temur ordered many changes to the construction to make it look grand and majestic as an icon of the city, and also pushing architecture and structural engineering to their limits, or beyond, as the structural integrity began to fail just years after its construction. A later ruler in the 17th century ordered a halt to all reconstruction and reinforcement of the mosque, and it fell into disrepair and disuse, with its inner arch collapsing in 1897. It was already during the Soviet times that scientists, archaeologists, and historians began to investigate and find out the importance of this mosque, and during the later 20th century, reconstruction works began. After independence, the mosque has become a protected monument by the government. It stands as a very iconic landmark in the skyline of Samarkand, as can be seen from the opposite on the platforms outside the tomb of Islam Karimov. The first president of Uzbekistan, Islam Karimov, was born in Samarkand and wanted to be buried in his home city. The government decided to build his mausoleum together with the Hazrati Khizdart Mosque, a mosque with historical significance as it was near the southern boundaries of the ancient Afrasiab settlement, after which the Afrasiab train is named. It was originally a Zoroastrian temple but rebuilt by the Umayyads as a mosque, marking the early arrival of Islam in the region of Central Asia. The fact that the late founding president was buried in such a sacred religious place of worship meant that he was someone the Uzbek people had held high respect for. After visiting the tomb of Islam Karimov and Hazrati Khizr Mosque, we passed by a historical toilet on public display not far outside the Shahizinda complex. Shahizinda is a necropolis containing mausoleums that house the resting place of Qutham ibn al-Abbas, a cousin of the Prophet Muhammad. He became the leader of Mecca and was one of those who led the Arab conquest of Central Asia and the spread of Islam to the region. He spent his later life in Samarkand and was buried here after he passed, and centuries later, during Amir Temur's rule, he respected this historical figure a lot and ordered a mausoleum built around his tomb, with elaborate, beautiful decorations that combine both Arab and Central Asian styles of architecture and design. Shahizinda literally means living king in Persian, and later it housed the tombs of Temur's relatives, close close military advisors and clergy aristocracy. After a very late lunch, it was in the late afternoon already. Our visit to Samarkand and the country of Uzbekistan was coming to a close. We headed back to our hotel to retrieve our luggage, then took taxis to the train station as we had to catch a train to Tashkent. It was at Samarkand station that I bought this flag of Uzbekistan, which, if I remember correctly, cost 25,000 som, which is about 2.6 Singapore dollars or 1.95 USD. A few episodes ago, I said this Azerbaijan flag and the Turkey flag that were the most expensive flags that I bought at 2 SGD or 1.5 USD each, but I was wrong. This one in Uzbekistan was more expensive, but it also came with the seat, like the holder to make the flag stand. So I guess they should be around the same price without the stand, yeah. Our journey on the high-speed train was very nice. We managed to catch another sunset over the horizon as the train sped through the vast plains of Uzbekistan, going through the narrow corridor between Kazakhstan and Tajikistan, then finally arriving at Tashkent after the sun had set. But we had no time to stay in the city for long, as we were going straight to the airport to take a plane back to China. So that was the end of my family's trip to Uzbekistan. We explored 3 cities, and the only regret I had was unfortunately falling sick and not being able to get enough of Samarkand, and also not visiting enough places in Tashkent. I really felt like I needed to come back someday and visit all these places that I had missed. Uzbekistan, wait for me to return. Uzbekistan, qaytishimni kut. Now my family will be taking a flight back to China, and my next couple of episodes will be kind of filler videos. Our flight will be on a China Southern Airlines airplane, and we would first fly to Urumqi for transit for half a day, then take another China Southern flight back to my birth city, Dalian. I hadn't gone back to my home city during summer for so many years. I really missed it. Other than that, we still had a couple more stops of interest in China, Dandong and Shenyang. So for now, thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for my upcoming episodes.